Hi, my name is Simon. Today is the day where I've fasted for 3 days without having food, no water, and no sleep. So it's rather unusual fasting practice, but I've read about it. There's a famous Russian breathing expert whose name is Buteyko, and he somehow touched on an interesting experience which goes beyond normal fasting. So the usual way to fast would be to refrain from food. To do dry fasts, most people um, are strictly, let's say, not inclined to do because they think it's a life-threatening experience. And after trying it for myself, doing this 3 day dry fast with no sleep, I can say that the fast by itself is not the goal. So it's not about the fast, it's about to not sleep, interestingly, which is going very contrary to what you see today about all this biohacking community, what you see today with these wearables such as Whoop, such as Aura Ring, which emphasize sleep. So I don't know exactly the chemical processes yet, what caused this experience to be like it was. But on the third day, even after the first day of no sleep, you have to force yourself a little bit. But even after the first day, if you don't sleep and you don't eat, and the food, not eating and not drinking, makes it easier to not sleep, since your digestion takes about 40% of your daily energy. So you have that excessive energy. So what happens is that you get a rush of endless energy. You you feel awake. You feel not tired at all. I feel like going for a run. I went for a run for 3 kilometers or so in the middle of the night because I didn't know what to do with all that energy. But this was day one, and then it continued. Then some certain calmness started setting in after the second day. I went out of this on the third day simply because I want to do it like a gradual approach. I want to do 3 days. Now I want to have 1, 2 days again, take a little bit of food in, and then again, and see if we can extend it. So like a more gradual approach. Specifically for older people, I suggest doing this kind of metabolic adjustments gradually. But what this shows um, is that maybe there is no such reliance on food and water as much as in sleep as we think there is. Again, it's just testing myself on my own body right now. I know there are a few people in Russia who practice this. They're called, I think, автономы. I'm not sure how you translate that into, or breatharians. I think this is a word which maybe should be coming more up um, into like the literature, or if you type it into some kind of large language model. They call themselves breatharians. There have been yogis who had practiced something similarly, where they haven't eaten or slept or drank any water for years. So the question is, where does this energy coming from? And I think the answer lays in Buteyko's work about breathing. So there's something happens to breath during this period. Something, I'm not quite sure how to explain it. It's like an atomic reactor which activates. You feel extremely warm, hot, even if it's a little bit fresh outside. So it's like a warmth from inside. The breathing itself is not deep. So this is another misconception, that you have to exactly the opposite. And Buteyko, he writes about this. It's primarily in Russian, but he writes extensively about that. He was curing up to, I don't know, about 100,000 asthmatic patients were, through his lifetime, were coming to him to search for help. And they tried different breathing techniques, they tried medicamentation, they tried a lot of things. And he says that within a week, with a 100% success rate, he healed all of them by simply adjusting the breathing. So the breathing, and then if you read a little bit into the literature in the yogis, and they write a lot about that each breath, so to say, life goes in and out, in and out. So there is something about breath that has enormous energy that can, I think, even sustain your life without any external input. And this is something I did not think was possible before, trying this now for 3 days. But the core of this whole, to make this work, is you have to not sleep. So something, maybe, I'm not sure what's exactly physiologically happening. And I have a background in medical, but I don't know exactly, because it never has been fully, I think, studied, how sleep exactly affects our physiology, especially our brain. And for example, Buteyko, he, I think, said something about that. He brought the example of the bad smell in your mouth, like a pastry, every time you wake up, and he leads it to a rotting conclusion. So he argues that people who sleep, to some extent, rot from within. The interesting thing is that my skin visually improved. I could literally see it. I think it was the water related. Your skin somehow starts stretching a little bit. It becomes like tighter. I didn't wash it for these 3 days with any water. The only thing I did was jumping in the ocean. So I think there's a notion of completely refraining from using tap water, only using some kind of natural water, or there are specific machines in Japan where they kind of electrolyze the water, which then becomes super healthy. I have a company who is doing that. So for me, it was very interesting to do this test on myself to see what it does to the body without drinking any water. So yeah, it's a testing process. So this is the first kind of little vlog, personal experience report from these 3 days. I'm gonna do now 1-2 days normal, like a slow kind of only vegetables and very little bit of fruits, slow kind of refeeding cycle, because I don't want to lose too much muscle tissue. By the way, I did not lose any muscle tissue pretty much, which is very interesting. If I do a normal fast but drink water and sleep, I lose a significant amount of muscle mass. If I don't sleep, don't drink water, I barely lost any muscle mass. And the activity was pretty much the same. I still was working out. I actually was working out twice because I didn't know after the second day, I didn't know what to do with that energy. Working, I felt like doing things. Interacting with people felt more nurturing, if this is the right word. But pretty much nurturing is I think the right word. Just having conversation. I'm more like I try not to talk like a waterfall or anything. I'm trying to be more composed, but always interested in a good conversation. Somehow after the second day, I felt like just talking and sharing with people, which I normally never do. So yeah, this is something that is not scientifically validated. If you take medication, specifically if you have some renal function compromises, make sure that you monitor if you are thinking about trying this. I think this is one of the best health improving practices, which is, I mean, it's buried in some old Soviet Russian textbooks, so I'm sharing it here. And some yogis do it too, but yogis in itself, if you look at a lot of their kind of ways how they developed, many of them get into a state of near no food, near no water, and no sleep. I mean, they meditate. So for them, but it's not sleep. It's not sleep per se where you lose consciousness, where you like not become a vegetable, but when you like are not there anymore. They are here. They stay here. So try it out. If you find difficulties to immediately go into dry fast, maybe start with a very light food, like normal fast. 2-3 days. Don't worry, people can survive easily 30 plus days without food. Water is a little bit harder, but I've seen people and I've talked to people who have survived weeks without drinking water. So, I mean, it's again, it's not scientifically 100% validated, but I met people in person who, when I've seen them, I've been with them, seeing that they're doing it, not drinking any water, not drinking any food. So I just want to share this. I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna do another round in a few days, and this time I'm gonna extend, probably until 6 days, and then comes next video, and then we'll see how far we go. It's very important with these things to listen to your body. It's not about this aura ring tells me to go to sleep, or it's time to go to sleep, or this. It's important to, for a second, sit down and actually listen, because it's your own body. You can develop a certain sensitivity to it, what it needs, what you really are, to say, if there's some kind of missing nutrient. All these things can be felt to a certain extent, but this sensitivity has to be developed. So fasting, you develop the sensitivity towards your own body, towards the things you eat. It becomes a more conscious practice. It's also important to get away from this unconscious TV watching, chips into the mouth scenario. As much fun as it is, it will eventually lead to disease, unfortunately, but that's the case most of the time. So see this as your little meditation. Meditation is not just sitting for 2 hours, 3 hours in some lotus pose with incense burning around your house. Meditation can be to just actually look at something like a fruit or a vegetable you eat, or grow a little garden, then harvest that vegetable, your avocado, whatever it may be. Look at it, open it with your own hands, smell it. That's a form of meditation as well. All right, guys. Wishing you a good day.